Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to JP Broadcasting, and welcome in to the League Zero Formula Series for Round 10 out at Circuit of the Americas. The final round of the season, it all comes down to this. In our championship charge towards checkered flag glory for these drivers here tonight, it comes down to two. Jaden Callaway, Fabian Sanchez, the only mathematical chances of winning the championship here this evening. They come into tonight's race with a 20-point difference, but there's plenty of points on the table. A total of 37 points, I believe it is, across both races. There is an opportunity for Sanchez to still clinch this out of the clutches of Jaden Callaway, but he's going to have a perfect night on the road. I'm your commentator, Hamish with Dean Biggles alongside once again. Dean, it's been a long 10 weeks, and we're in for the final round tonight, with chaos, controversy all throughout the season. The race at Imola last week was epic. Circuit of the Americas could give us something special to talk about as well. We know how strong Callaway is, and we had the prediction last week. If he makes it past turn one, he will win. The question then begs, does he make it past turn one?
Yeah, obviously in the first heat race will be more important for that turn one, and then after that in the reverse grid, that'll for the feature race will be very, very interesting. Of course, welcome everybody in for the finale, as you mentioned too, my friend. We do have a little what-if scenario graphic that I had made just briefly before this, but we can you can elaborate a little bit more to the details of what Fabian Sanchez needs in order to beat Callaway to the championship.
So if he were to win both races, Callaway finished P6 in both, we would end in a tie, which would mean that Callaway would win the championship on count back. He has more race wins than Sanchez does. Actually, let me just double check. Because if he gets the 2 off of that, would that put him up to 7 or 8 race wins, Dean? I think that's actually an important thing that we need to remember as well. But regardless, pretty much for Sanchez to win outright without having any countback issues or anything like that, he needs Callaway to finish 7th or below in at least one race, and then 6th or below in the other, and Sanchez would need to win both of them. It's going to be a tough task because Callaway's got some great pace. Sanchez, unfortunately, is not matching that pace at the moment here in qualifying. Callaway's on a 143.15 at his best, Sanchez 144.11. But in practice, he did have the pace to go ahead with Callaway, but he's just not finding the pace at the moment. So pretty much for Sanchez, it needs to be try and get the race win. For Callaway, it's try not to get taken out. Pretty much, he needs to try and finish, and he basically just needs top 5 in both races, and he should win this championship. It would make it a lot harder for Sanchez to do it if Callaway were to win race 1, and then Sanchez were to finish he needs to finish within 4 points of him. Otherwise, Callaway will win it in race number 1. If he loses by 5 or more points in race 1, then Callaway wins the championship before we even get to the final race of the season in race 2. So that's what's on the line for Callaway. That's what's on the line for Sanchez.
He might be going faster here too. Really setting a statement. Yes, he did.
142.9.
Wow. That's 2/10 almost lap. Quicker. Yeah.
And Sanchez is not out there to set another lap here at the end of qualifying, so he's going to start below the top 3 rows of the grid. Fitzsimmons is going to get cut off from his laps because we get cut off at the 15 minutes thanks to the fact that we're going heat racing tonight. I don't know if there's anyone actually close enough to finish their laps at the moment out on track. It doesn't appear to be, so we're going to get cut off here at the end of qualifying. Xavier Sernar was the final driver to set a time. Did not go any better. So Callaway is going to start on a perfect start here for tonight's race. He's going to be pole position for race number 1.
Well, here comes the grid, and we did say that, didn't we, talking about that last week, that it's got to be down to Fabian Sanchez, needs to be on that front row, at least with Callaway, and he's not at this point. Here is your grid for the race.
Starting grid for tonight's race will be as follows. Jaden Callaway will start alongside Finley Fitzsimmons on the front row, Adam Merchant and DBML for the second row, with Nick Pedersen and Antonio Bianchi for your top 6. Sanchez and Sarkis, the teammates, will start alongside each other on the 4th row of the grid, with Williams and Turnbull for your top 10. If they were to stay how they are, Callaway would win the championship based on the amount of points he would gain here in race 2. Race 1. Turnbull, Zerha for your Turnbull for your top 10. Zerha Del Mar for your 6th row with Maya and Orti for the top 14. Jared Ziegler, Arturo Mayorga for the top 16 with Xavier Sernar, Julian Midore, and Michael Fairchild making up the 19-car grid this evening. So for Callaway, he cannot drop positions. For Sanchez, he has to make positions. He needs to get to P4 on the road, but that's only going to get him 24 points, which means he would be equal with Callaway. And seeing as there's only 24 points difference worth of points in race number 2, then he needs to try and hope that Callaway does not finish race 2, or at least get the race win and then possibly just pip him to it. If I look here, no, there's no way that Sanchez is winning on countback. He's 5 wins behind Callaway, so he must beat him, Dean, outright. He cannot tie with him, even with 2 race wins. He has to beat him. He
has to beat him, yeah. So that graphic that we had a little bit earlier there, you got to just basically put another position onto that one. He needs a 6 or lower for Callaway, but in each race, and that's only, of course, if Sanchez wins.
Yep. And if he doesn't, then it could be all over as the lights go out, the green lights go on, and we run up the hill towards turn 1. And it is a horrid start from Fabian Sanchez, who's already dropped outside of the top 10. And as they roll round turn 1, in the background, a multitude of cars have gone round, and Sanchez has been held up, and he is all the way to the back of the field. So could this championship be over before we even meet the checkered flag of race number 1?
Well,
Sanchez must make the end. He has so much work to do, but with 8 laps here in this race, he hasn't got a lot of time to try and fight his way up the field. For Callaway, though, it's a perfect start at the front. He goes from pole into the race lead with Merchant in behind him. So Fitzsimmons, Bianchi, Pedersen for the top 5. Sarkis, Amel, Williams, Del Mar, Mayorga the top 10. Fairchild, Turnbull, Ziegler, Sanchez, Sernar, Maya, Midore, Zerha, and Audi for the field. So we can see, though, there's already moves being made. Williams trying to get it done on a Mel in towards the end of the back straight. The DRS zone would be, of course, no DRS in these cars, only have push to pass. They've got 200 seconds worth to use across this race as well, as Amel and Williams go side by side into the final sector of this wonderful Circuit of the Americas. They've got Del Mar on their heels as well. These guys have done well off the start here. Dean Williams up 2, Del Mar up 3 into the top 10. Amel, a shocking start. He's down 4 already.
Yeah, he's back in the battle at the moment. You see with JJ Williams. This is Leo Demar that we're running on board with currently at the moment for the French driver. Yeah, it's a lot of work, isn't it? But then again, you got to go. You put it back to Brazil many years ago when Sebastian Vettel, remember, spun right at the back of the field, had to fight all the way through the field there to come back there and win the race. Well, speaking of spinning, it was
JJ Williams. Yep. With the name that sounds like an author, he hasn't quite written himself into the history books tonight. He's off the road and needing a tow back to pit lane. How is this occurred? Has he just lit it up? Oh, he has.
Yeah. That's a Williams into the fence. Used to be the day, wasn't it, with the other driver who's not in Formula One anymore.
Sounds like it just sounds like a regular occurrence for the last 10 years, Dean. Williams is in the fence, but so for Callaway, he pretty much just has to make the checkered flag now at this point. Not much more that. Oh, but Adibe Amel, Leo Del Mar, sorry, have had an incident in behind, and Amel's had to tow back to pits. So this is now what Sanchez needs. He needs drivers to go by the wayside. He needs them to drop position. Remember, he must get to P. Well, he needs P3. Pretty much, he needs to be within 3 points of Callaway by the checkered flag. Otherwise, he'll never win it on countback.
Not he done this on his own, I'd have to say. So I think Damar's got into him after a spin there.
Yep.
Oh.
He saw him turn, came up, and gave him a kiss. Pretty much. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Del Mar had time to react, but he didn't quite.
It looks like Adam got past Fitzy as well too. Or Fitz has actually gone off. He needs some Specsavers.
I think he might have gotten him. He already got him, I believe, off the race start. So
yeah, he did.
Fitzsimmons, just a minor off track. Callaway sets the fastest lap of the race, though, 1:44.67 that lap time by. He's already built up a 1.1 second lead over Merchant. Remember the call last week. He's made it past turn 1. He's likely going to win tonight based on the prediction that was made by... Oh, I'm trying to remember which driver it was last week. It's AJ. It was AJ Brenner at a Merchant's teammate. We also had the confirmation, though, that those guys are all teammates with Sarkis and Sanchez, and they're all just in their own little sub-teams for this series. So I do know, based on our conversations last week with AJ, that everyone barring Jaden Callaway is sick of Jaden Callaway winning championships. And they were hoping that Fabian would win. So, but
he's struggling.
It's tough effort to do it.
Absolutely struggling at the moment, isn't he? Sanchez here, like just trying to struggle to keep up to the back of them of Turnbull. Let's have a look real quick there. What happened? At potentially championship's dreams and hopes over and done with on this first corner.
So it was a horrid start already. He was already dropping down the pack, and then a car gets spun around in front of him. Oh, and then he makes more contact and has to wait to try and get past. So it's just a messy start to this race for him. I've also just seen that James Turnbull and Arturo Mayorga have had an incident as well. We'll have a look at that in a moment once we watch this race start back. You see, he really bogged it down. It just made it so difficult for him. And then you see there, I mean, it's a swamp of cars. It's a tightening corner, tightening apex up at turn 1. And then Turnbull, this was the moment at the end of the straight, just missed the brake mark completely, lost the air intake on the left-hand side of the car, and well off the road he went. As well, through all this, another fast lap of the race for Callaway too, 1:44.44 the last time by. It's like brake markers don't exist, pretty much. It's like, oh, no, there's a corner. I would rather straight line it, but it's completely missed where he needed to brake there at the end of the back straight. We're halfway through this race, just about. Callaway leads well and truly. Through all that, though, Sanchez has now found his way back into the top 10, so there's only 7 more positions that he needs across 4 laps. It's going to be tough and tight to do so there, because Sarkis, somehow, I don't know how this has happened, he's 12 seconds ahead of Jared Ziegler. I don't know how this has occurred already in 4 laps, but shows the pace discrepancy with the field.
Yeah, there is. And, well, Sanchez, at best, is just going to fight his way back up through the field, and just, you never know. You never know what can happen. He needs something to happen up the road there with Callaway, that's for sure.
Callaway could have an internet dropout.
Yeah.
He could have an internet dropout or a technical issue that then takes him out of the race, and all of a sudden Sanchez is in a much better position than what he was at this point. So it's not over until the checkered flag flies. Anything can happen with Jaden Callaway at the front of the field, but Sanchez's focus needs to be on making up positions, as Madore has forced a mistake there by Leo Del Mar, who's just run it way wide at the end of the straight, and now has work to do to get back to that position. It's given Sanchez another free position. It's a big dive.
He's going for it, isn't he? He's absolutely going for it. He hasn't got the position just yet.
Yeah. He hasn't got time to wait. He has to go for it.
He's throwing the kitchen sink at this one, mate.
The problem is, if he gets past Fairchild, he's then going to try and make up another 5 seconds to get up to Ziegler, and then another 12.5 seconds to get up to his teammate Sarkis.
Oh, yeah. So you wonder if the teammates will slow down and say, I'll let you through, mate, just to give you any hopes and dreams left.
But even if he slows down, it's only going to be P6. So he's still going to need 3 more positions. I mean, it's... Unfortunately, I think that... And it's only disappointing because Sanchez had great pace in practice. He was at the pace of Callaway. And then all of a sudden, through qualifying and then obviously at the start of the race, he's just gone nowhere. Like, he didn't have the pace. He couldn't match the pace he had in practice in qualifying, so he wasn't on the front row of the grid. He was then back in the pack, where it's often quite chaotic, and it's caused him to drop positions. So, I mean, honestly, from the race start, from the get-go, it feels like he's thrown it away, just from the green flag flying. I mean, that's what it seems to me, Dean. I mean, it's an uphill battle now. And
we don't know whether or not he has any damage on that, too, from that earlier incident to even struggle with at the moment. As you can see, he's using a push to pass, but then so was Michael up the road there to try to defend. So he's not going to be handing this man the championship at all. Not that he could do anything really at this point to completely hand the championship over, but Noddy's had a little moment as well, too, I'm just seeing, but he's already in pit road. They're going to be sitting this one out, I'd say, with a couple of laps to go, 4 to be precise, before the feature race. And so even if Jaden Callaway wins this race right now with Sanchez here, then that's it, isn't it? That's done and dusted.
That's it. That's
That's
done.
it. Yeah.
There's nothing that Sanchez could do. There's not enough points on the table. In fact, actually, he needs even more now because Callaway got pole.
Yeah.
So he actually got 2 extra points. So Callaway effectively has a 22-point lead for the start of this race. Sanchez needs to finish P2. He cannot finish P3 now. He needs P2. He needs 1 point to be behind. He needs to be 1 point behind Callaway. And then to win the championship in race 2, if that were to happen, Sanchez would need to win, and he would need Callaway to finish outside, I think it is, of the top 14. He would need to finish 15th or below.
15th or below. We get 1 point, 15th and
1
below.
point.
Yes.
Yep.
Just the 1 point.
Which seems quite out of touch, I will say. Merchant, 143.94 that last lap by. It's a bit of a swan song now for Callaway. That's another factor we didn't really think about, the fact that there are extra points of pole, plus extra points for fastest lap of the race. So actually, if Callaway gets the fastest lap, it's done anyway. He would have 23 points lead, and the only way then that Sanchez could beat him is by actually winning and beating Callaway on the road. So it is... It's out of touch now, pretty much.
And he doesn't have the fastest lap at the moment. It's Merchant who has it, believe it or not. But yeah.
So if you had obviously gamble responsibly. If you had a multi on it at this point, and you had Sanchez to win, your cash out options and say you bet $10, your cash out option.
And look who just got the fastest lap, but it's been replaced by Fitzy.
Yep.
But I bet you Callaway's going to save everything on that last lap, isn't he, to bank it all in? Yeah, he's probably hasn't even used his push to pass yet.
Well, it is looking out of touch and out of sorts for Fabian Sanchez. There is only a few laps left, 2 laps to go for Callaway, as almost a 2-lap swan song towards another championship. Next to his name, he would continue with the number 1 on his car in towards next season. And it's a tough go. It's a tough go for Jaden. It's a tough go for... Well, not a tough go for Jaden. It's a tough go for Fabian. But we mentioned last week, qualifying was going to be crucial. He had to qualify up the front, and he didn't.
Yep.
And
you got to get the practice in, don't you, in COTA? I mean, maybe he just doesn't like the track or something like that, but it's just unfortunate that he couldn't... Now you look at this, push to pass is being used by Callaway, so I think he wants to go. He wants to basically seal this, like probably saying we are the champions in that car right now, because he will be the champion at the end of the next 2 laps.
He's going to have a full lap's worth of overtake as well. So this final lap is going to be a run to... Well, he's going to have a bit less actually now that I say that. So it's going to be roughly a full lap's worth of overtake for Jaden Callaway, and he is going to push to pretty much seal the deal, nail the coffin shut on Fabian Sanchez's championship hopes as he begins his final lap. It is the swan song dance.
There was
for
a
Jaden
quick crash
Callaway.
here, I think, that's occurred between these 2 drivers back there.
Route 40.
That's going to be contact, isn't it? Is that a late? That's a late, son. You can do that, obviously, up the top of the hill, but could make it stick.
Brakes. Yeah. So Callaway, who's had the most wins on the board this season, he looks to make it win number 8, which would be a championship winning win, I suppose we could say. As he runs it down towards the bottom of the hill and the start of the back straight, he can cruise down this straight now. He has got the fastest lap of the race currently, a 143.47. This lap, though, looks to go even faster, with overtake switched on to overdrive for the whole lap. And this has been, well, we said it was going to be an uphill battle for Sanchez tonight. Well, unfortunately, he found himself in an avalanche as he was trying to get to the summit, and it just pushed him so much further back down the mountain, injured him for a period as well, and it's made it so much tougher to try and get back up to the championship challenging position. Now, this would only be provisional, of course, because there could be something happens to Callaway tonight. It will make it a fair bit more difficult for Sanchez, nonetheless, as he runs it down towards the final corner, overtakes, about to run out. It is gone. And through the final corner comes Jaden Callaway, and provisional champion he is, as he runs across the line with enough points on the board. Fastest lap of the race, 1:43.19. So he ends the race, at least before Sanchez does, with a 23-point lead. But he won the race, which means Sanchez cannot beat Callaway on points. He needed the race win if the gap was 23 points. And unfortunately for Fabian Sanchez, it is out of touch before the final race has even begun. And Sanchez crosses the line. It is championship over. It is title fight over. And it is Jaden Callaway, your series champion for the League Zero Formula Series Season 14.
Absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? It didn't have too. It would have been great to have a cracker of a battle down to the wire, but unfortunately, it wasn't a situation. Callaway just too strong, too powerful. We still have drivers, believe it or not, they're still trying to finish the race at the moment.
Wouldn't it have been good if Callaway thought about the TV and was just like, I'm
that's
just
true,
crash.
isn't it? Yeah,
I'm just going to crash in race one, get Sanchez to win, really put the pressure back on myself, and we can go tooth and nail in race 2.
Yeah, but it wasn't even looking like Sanchez even had a shot to win this race either, didn't it?
He
did fight back and handed on that one. He got held up quite a bit on that turn 1 shenanigans. But in that, he was trying to be cautious to avoid. He wanted to avoid, getting into a wreck. He didn't need that for this race, but it's just the unfortunate situation that he was involved in it because of his qualifying performance as well. So you've always got to say that if you don't want to get into any shenanigans and opening lap races, you've got to just put yourself on pole, which is exactly what Callaway did. Then your only risk, of course, at that point is somebody slamming up the backside of you when you're going into that turn 1.
That's right. So warm-up session to come, but this is now more or less an ego boost race for race 2. Really, there's championships not on the line. The provisional race results for race number 1 as follows: Jaden Callaway has taken the win to Adam Merchant in P2, Finley Fitzsimmons in P3, Antonio Bianchi, Nick Pedersen, your top 5, Felipe Sarkis, Jared Ziegler, Michael Fairchild, Fabian Sanchez, and then Julian Madore for your top 10, Sharji Zerha, Ralph Ortiz, Xavier Cernard, Jace Meyer, Leo Delmar, the top 15, James Turnbull, Arturo Mayorga, in DBML, and JJR Williams, non-finishers in that one. So pretty much we get to watch these guys go racing now for 24 laps for no other reason than they can. And they've got the race to go. And there's still minors on offer for some drivers. Couple of personal battles that are still to be won. But if only Callaway wasn't so dominant this season.
But the situation is he was, and he got the job done. Of course, he'd be already celebrating down there with his team and pit road. He won't even need to come out there and do a lap. I think he's got this one in the bag. But of course, in that reverse grid,
he doesn't even need to race. He doesn't need to race now in race 2. He's got the gap that he needed. He finished enough positions ahead of Sanchez, where Sanchez mathematically cannot beat him now. And the fact he's only going to be starting P5, where Sanchez is going to be starting P9, where he finished in race number 1. So, as we said, it was 20 points coming into this race. Callaway got, even without pole position and fastest lap, he won the championship anyway, because Sanchez needed to get to P3.
Yes.
With the pole position, he garnered an extra 2 points, which then made it that Sanchez needed to get P2. He then got the fastest lap, which meant Sanchez needed to win. And he, of course, didn't. So, mathematically, it is done for Callaway and Sanchez. But the racing's not over for us. We've still got one race to go tonight. 24 laps of COTA. Which pretty much is just as I said, the kind of the crescendo, it's almost like the narration at the end of the movie, Dean, where it wraps everything up for us and says, where are they now? What are they doing now? How are they after graduation, sort of thing. And it's it's just to see what happens. Not a look into the past. But I look towards the future.
Oh, not that reporter, isn't it? A short view to the past. When he was,
A short view to the past.
To the past, yes. But you also got to remember too that there is a nice little battle still brewing for the other positions as well too. You have to say, you got Felipe. He's close with Adam, and Adam had a good result on that race as well too.
It's
so
a little bit further now. Merchant has would have gotten enough points to get past Felipe. So there's still a little battle between them at this stage. Del Mar gained points on Briscoe but lost points to Pedersen, so we'll see how that now plays out in this race. And then Bianchi's already gained points on Brenner because Brenner didn't race. So there's still some minors on offer for these drivers. As we said though, it's this race now is a showcase race, I guess we'll say. Dean, just see what happens, see where drivers end up. The completion of the race needs to happen, obviously, for Callaway to be crowned champion, unless it was cancelled. But as it stands, he would be the champion.
Yeah, and once again, he's celebrating down the team. Only 3 drivers are out there. Felipe is, because he knows that he's got a chance at that position 3.
They might want to breathalyze Jaden Callaway before he heads to the grid, because he may have had a couple too many in these championship celebrations now between races. So
he's used to it by now too, isn't he? Being a champion. And going back to that scorecard really quickly as well, too, you can see it's a pretty impressive card to have, isn't it, on your wall there? Because, I mean, those poles, add another pole to that one, that's 7 poles, that's 8 wins now from 16 starts there. So he's got himself 12 top 5s,
14 top
10s. Yeah.
So the only driver with more was Sanchez, but he lacked the race wins.
Yeah.
And that's really what cost Sanchez, was the race wins. And often at times you'll find that, in a 10-round championship, knowing that Callaway had 7 wins, although it wasn't technically 7 round wins, it was 7 race wins across 20 odd races. So when you're in a championship, for example, where it's 10 rounds, 10 races, 7 wins, it is pretty unlikely that person's going to lose if they've taken, 85% of the race wins. Or 70% of the race wins, technically. So that there is it was already an uphill battle for Sanchez tonight, and it was, pretty much just solidified at the end of qualifying, pretty much, when he didn't qualify where he needed to. Starting grid, though, for race 2 will be as follows. Nick Pedersen will start pole alongside Antonio Bianchi on the front row. Finley, Fitzsimmons, Adam Merchant for the second row. Jaden Callaway, Felipe Sarkis will then make up the top 6. Jared Ziegler, Michael Fairchild for your top 8 with Fabian Sanchez and Julian Madore for the top 10. Shouty Zerha, Ralph Orty, the top 12. Xavier Cernar, Jace Meyer, Leo Delmar, James Turnbull. Top 16, Arturo Mioga in DBML and JJR Williams for the top 19. Amel has left the server, so he will not race in race number 2. And if you're Sanchez and you've got nothing to lose now, Dean, do you just have a send at turn 1? Do you just go for it?
Well, I think what he could do is that he could deny Callaway the win.
Green flag.
Maybe.
To celebrate on the step. That's what you would want to do, just get to play the little psychological games, potentially, of course, for the next season.
Well, the scramble has begun towards turn 1, and Callaway and co are battling through the scramble of positions in the background. So Callaway's not going to have to push so hard now. He's already done what he needed to tonight. This is now a fun race for him in race 2, as it is for the majority of the field. He's hot on the heels of Nick Pedersen as they run through the Maggots and Beckett's like S's out towards the exit of the first sector. Merchant, though, is leading the way. He's up 3 spots off the race start. An incredible race start for him. A horrid race start for Pedersen. He is down 3 at the moment, as the drivers are all scrambling to find their way through. Sanchez has not moved off this race start. He started P9. Dade in P9 at the moment. Xavier Cernar has ended up off the road in the background before they even got to the entry to the back straight. Let's see how this is occurred, hasn't it? Oh, no. Ugly move, unfortunately. Just drops position.
Bianchi as well. I mean, he's one of the league admins here, is trying to get a move on, get himself a nice little victory here this evening. But Adam's been strong around this track. We knew that from race 1. He's pretty on the par right now to potentially get himself a race victory here. But then you can never count out Callaway, can you? And Sanchez finally did get past move, so he's got past Jace Meyer and he's up to P8.
And he's starting to chase down Julian Medore. Fitzsimmons has now gone round as well. I saw the little dink from Bianchi. I reckon there was contact with Fitzsimmons, and that's what's thrown him round. Because we saw the catch of steering from Bianchi there. So let's see how this has occurred. Oh, yeah, that's why. Yep, little tap.
No,
yeah, it was a little neck code tap, I think, and that's what's then caused Bianchi's car to get a little bit loose off the exit as well. So Fitzsimmons now dropping down the order. And now has to try and come back throughout this race. In fact, Miorga and Turnbull have managed to get past him off this moment as well. So...
exit.
Williams, how much you want to send? He's really throwing this car around. We saw him make a mistake in race 1.
He threw it around right in race 1, didn't he? Unfortunately, he threw it into the fence.
Well, right, it's good that he's got Rexona on the side of the car because he's likely sweating a fair bit right now trying to get past Fairchild.
The switcheroo here, the over and under. Couldn't quite get under, actually. Good defensive move there at the moment from Fairchild.
And Fairchild has been quite the capable defender thus far tonight. We saw him defending against Sanchez all the way to the end of the race. He managed to finish ahead of him in race 1. So he has been quite the capable... he's got quite the capable defensive acumen as they look to go 3 wide at the end of the straight. Williams gets him. But Zerha wants to get through as well. So does Turnbull. And they're going to go 3 wide once again.
Do it, gentlemen. Yeah, do it. It's the last race of the season. Go for it.
Isn't it great racing when nothing's on the line for them? Yeah. They're just having a bit of a send, run it 2 wide, see what happens. Although they also did this back at Long Beach and look what happened. So, even when there was something on the line, they were sending it at times. But it has been fantastic racing thus far. As Callaway sets the fastest lap of the race, although it is a non-factor at this point. He doesn't need the extra points. It is literally confidence boost 101 for Jaden Callaway. As Fitzsimmons looks to run up the inside of Michael Fairchild here. Up the straight they go. Into the drone we go. And to the top of the hill, and Fitzsimmons gets that job done in a fantastic move on Michael Fairchild. Set him up at the final corner. Ran him up the hill in a drag race scenario. And was the last of the late breakers at the top of the crest as well. This battle, though, between, I believe it is Ziegler and Meyer continues on inside of the top 10. Del Mar's about a second back at the back end of the top 10 from these guys. There's only just under 0.3 of a second between them. They've then got 2.3 seconds up to Julian Medore further up the road from them. But again, they can just battle on. They, nothing... Well, not nothing, because there's still the minors to contend, but...
Here comes Callaway.
Yeah, he is on the move.
Yep.
Callaway is on the move at the moment, and he is onto the back of his teammate, Bianchi. I wonder now if they're going to have some Scarlet rules. We mentioned it before this season, if they would have Scarlet rules, similar to Papaya rules, where they just battle. Because Callaway doesn't need points anymore. They can just fight on now and go tooth and nail. I also wonder if he actually knows he's won at this point, too.
I'm pretty sure maybe somebody's listening to the stream there would have relayed that information to him down in his car or pit crew when he was in after race 1. Had a little analysis. There's lots of little shangle. Look at this gaggle of cars at the back here at the moment. You're talking about Sarjay, Michael, Rafe, Xavier, all in the mix here. But we do...
Sometimes... You just find the best battles at the back of the field.
Oh, Callaway.
Sometimes. Callaway has just sent it on his teammate and gets the job done on Antonio Bianchi. And now looks to chase down Adam Merchant, who just set the fast lap of the race, 144.83. But there is more time in it. We know there's more time in it as Shaji Zerha's into pit lane as well. He's had this minor moment. Where has this happened? So, round the long right and in towards the S's.
Yeah.
Where's he ended up off track?
Oh, it's only a little tiny bit off track, actually. It's only about a second, so it didn't
really... You got a 1x.
Yep.
So one thing I will say is, though, this race is already producing better racing at this circuit than F1 has in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh. And don't even talk about F1. We're going up to Monaco.
Somehow F1 cars just don't know how to battle at Circuit of the Americas. I don't know how. It's
a fantastic track, isn't it? I mean, lap one overtakes us essentially. That's only DRS assisted. You take out DRS, it never get overtakes.
I'm under the belief system actually that some of the best racing you'll find here is when MotoGP races here. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They just have great races at this track. And maybe it's because it's always a DRS train in F1, I'm not sure, but you know, even if you take touring cars here, you can get great racing as well. And yes, it's a real, you know, it doesn't feel like a classic US road circuit because of the fact that it was built for F1. It was designed by F1's circuit designer, you know, who designed
Helmet.
who is it? I can't remember his name now, but he designed the Sochi Autodrome, and
yes,
I believe he designed the Baku circuit as well, and he designed a lot of the circuits for F1. His best creation ever was Turkey, which I think is still a crime that track is not on the F1 calendar. But regardless, it's this circuit. I think is, you know, it has a lot of different, obviously, inspirations from other circuits, namely Silverstone. This is a very Silverstone-esque track. But it's the way that they've actually used... this is just maggots and Beckett's. They stole it and put freedom on it. But it's the way that they've actually used the natural elevation changes and the natural topography of the area to make this circuit work. And there is not many like this track in terms of worldwide known Grand Prix circuits. In fact, I think the only other circuit I can think of, the only other couple of circuits I can think of that use the topography like this is Turkey and Imola, where we raced last week.
And Spa.
Perhaps also Mugello. Yeah, Spa, Mugello.
Yeah.
You know, where they use that you know, topography of the land to really build another character into the circuit for, you know, a worldwide Grand Prix circuit. Obviously, there's other tracks, you know, which are known for topography. But
don't get the oil companies involved, mate. They'll go, oh, you want to change up the landscape? That's no problems. We'll throw a couple billion at it, and we'll do elevation changes as crazy as Spa if we have to, because we got the money.
We'll make an island race circuit, shall we?
Yeah, I mean they would. I mean, if you asked them, they'd be like, yeah, no problems. We'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do it. Why not? Let's make a fake hill.
We got the money.
Yeah. Yeah, the Pikes Peak of the Middle East, we'll say. It's just a road that looks like a roller coaster.
Sanchez now putting some pressure on Nick, and Jaden Callaway setting the fastest lap at the moment. He's going to be on the tailpipe there of Merchant. But that'll be interesting. I think even though there are teammates as well, too, the majority of the field is out here, Adam's not going to be like, I don't need to help you. You've already won the championship. I'm fighting for this race win. I want this race win. I want to go into the next season, if he's going to be driving in the next season, saying, all right, I'm going to bring it to you next season there, Jaden. So let's fight. Let's fight for this race victory. A little too early, still we've got another 19 laps to go. But for now, once you're out the lead there, you've got clear air, you can get on with it. So we'll see how that pans out.
See what happens between them, as Sanchez was looking to run down the straight behind Pedersen. Further behind, Fitzsimmons is on the comeback train, and in behind, or just got past Jace Meyer at the entry to the back straight. Obviously, we mentioned some F1 Grand Prix circuits. Dean, of course, it was announced that, well, obviously, we're not getting Miami or Mexico City this upcoming season for iRacing, but it was announced that Mexico City is on track, and I believe Miami's on track to be completed for season 4 of iRacing as well. So we should have 2 more. I would say 2 more Grand Prix circuits by the end of season 1 of 2020.
I can't get my head around how they can't just get, you know, the laser scan, similar to like the Google Street View. You know, you've got the dome on top. It's got all the laser and all the radar and all that sort of jazz. Scans the track, probably has front scanners on the car, back scanners on the car to scan the side and all that sort of stuff. Why they can't just throw that vehicle around a couple of times, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, in those circuits. Miami you can. I'm not sure in Mexico if they have to reopen streets. I mean, Vegas is very difficult, of course, because they have to reopen streets in Vegas.
Well, a portion of the Mexican race circuit there's only a portion of it which is permanent race circuit.
Yeah.
Where the stadium section is, it's a part of a football stadium, so they can't always open it to racing. So it's
that's what I mean. You've got to do it during the race weekends if those roads are closed for the Grand Prix. I know for Vegas it's going to be possible because they reopen those roads up again after the race is finished. They have to finish actually at a certain time.
I don't want. You know what? Honestly, I don't want Vegas.
You don't want Vegas.
I don't want Vegas.
Yeah, you've got, but those other tracks. Go for it. Send the iRacing vehicle down there, or rent a vehicle and slap all the gear on it.
Go to the race circuits, which. That not all race circuits get used every weekend.
You
right?
could do Melbourne as well.
I know in the UK, right? The UK, they use the majority of the circuits nearly every race weekend, right? For whatever race meeting could be there. There's a heap of different racing series in the UK. But, and I don't know because I don't know about local race series in some of these countries, but does Turkey get used every weekend? Could we scan Turkey? Could we scan, a Brno? Or could we scan... just some other great Grand Prix circuits around the world. The fact that permanent race circuits, they're not open every weekend to racing. We should be able to get more permanent race circuits on iRacing.
That's what they did in Interlagos. Interlagos is a park. Okay, so you can go there, ride around, walk around at any time you want when there's no racing going on any of the weekends and stuff or weekdays. So you could do that. That's why they managed to scan, obviously, Interlagos, no problems, because they could do that. They could just, drive a vehicle around for 10 laps or whatever, scan everything you need to absolutely scan, and then go back and then spend months, programming, analysing it, stuff like that. But it's just lasers. It's just pointing at different surfaces and capturing every dot per inch kind of thing, and then...
it is a very timely process as well, because it's not just doing that. They've then also got to be able to... obviously map the circuit, build the circuit, make sure that the lighting works properly on the circuit as well.
But once you got the data, the rest of it's just done in-house. I mean, the data is the one that you only got a limited amount of time, and of course is expensive too.
There's also then contracts they've also got to be able to sign too, which I'm very aware of. It's not like they can just go to a race circuit and say, hey, we want to scan this and put this into our sim. They have to sign the contract that says, yes, you can have the license to scan this.
You display our track advertising, because remember, tracks have sponsors.
That's right.
Like you see it in Long Beach and stuff like that too, but you see sponsors that are permanent sponsors for a track as well too, that they have to say, you've got to include that, because...
All on the Armco or on the bridges of the circuits where they must show them as well. So, obviously they scanned, namely, they scanned Circuit of the Americas the weekend when the NASCAR was there, because it has all the NASCAR branding on the circuit.
You can see it exactly, yes.
If they had done it when the MotoGP was there, you would notice a giant Red Bull wall towards the final sector of the circuit. When the F1's here, you would see the F1 sponsorship, but they obviously did it during the NASCAR weekend because that's the easiest time they can do it, because NASCAR's local to them, and it's harder to organise it for an F1 Grand Prix weekend because it is such a tight line of organisation.
There's a lot of other supporting races that go on, but you've got to be doing it early in the morning. Once again, you can't be doing it during the day. It's only going to be nighttime.
And that's what they did for Miami, and that's what they did for Mexico. They did it early morning when there was no racing happening, and because we saw it in Melbourne. The support categories, like the supercars race, got cancelled because it is such a tight, structured formatting and scheduling that there is no time for those support categories to get red flagged or to have safety cars.
You wonder if they get reimbursed for that too, because you've sent all that money to send the teams there, and then to expect a race, and then of course it's I'm sorry, once again, because of the tight schedule, something happened, we couldn't get you on the track, so bye bye.
I suppose it's, if you don't get to race at all, then I could see them doing that. But if they've raced, majority of the races of the weekend and they've missed one, then I could see why they maybe wouldn't. But it'd be the same for any race weekend. You think about when F1 went to Spa and they cancelled the race because of the rain.
Yeah.
Did the teams get reimbursed? Probably not, because they can't afford to reimburse them.
No, they wouldn't be able to. Plianchi goes into pit road. These two are fighting it out. Absolutely, you're right. Please let us know your opinions out there in the chat too, if you want. I know there's a lot of Formula One fans in this league, aka look at the liveries.
Do we want Monaco?
No, please no. You don't have any comments I'm reading about the Monaco lately, and people are like, oh yeah, this is the one that I like to snooze fest to sleep through. They've even added extra pit lane, mandatory and extra pit stop, but it's just
it's not going to do anything. An extra pit stop will do nothing.
No, it just so
it'll just make the race go longer.
it's only just for the rich billionaires and stuff like that to just party out there and celebrate. Get their sponsors and all that sort of stuff. They go, come on board my multi-million-dollar yacht and let's drink and
I'll
basically watch cars chase each other around a track.
I watched Imola on the weekend. The best part of the whole weekend was qualifying.
Yep.
The race was boring.
Yeah, the race is boring. They are getting pretty boring on Formula One this season.
Lap 1 was the best part of the race. Apart from that, it was just go till you find the checkered flag. And I found that it's a lot of race weekends for Formula One. The best part of the race weekend is qualifying, and then lap 1 is chaotic, and then you get nothing else. That is it. And I don't know how they're going to entice better racing for teams. These cars were supposed to create better racing, but somehow the racing has gotten worse in terms of having on-track battles. It's just...
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of the cars, they're not doing major development changes, of course, this season, so they're not going to see much of a massive advantage. It's all about focusing on next season. A few more pit stops that are occurring.
Maybe it should become a spec series, where the only difference between the teams is maybe their engines.
How's this? How's this for some stats out there? In total, there's been 72 overtakes across the Monaco Grand Prix held in the last 10 years, including the cancelled 2020 race, averaging approximately 8 overtakes per race. So you compare that to another circuit. Give me an example of another circuit to compare that with.
Long Beach.
Oh, but F1, but.
Oh, F1. Okay. Okay. What's the easiest track to overtake at an F1? Probably Monza. We would see a lot more overtakes at Monza than we would at Monaco.
Adam's still in the lead at the moment. As you know that Callaway is going to do everything to want to win this race. He's going to be on. Why not? You want to back-to-back wins. You've got the championship. You're going to taste the bubbly stuff. You're going to be in the spotlight. It's the perfect way to end a season.
And D-Bear makes a good point. Actually, Austria. That'd be a good comparison, because Red Bull Ring you get some really good racing and some really good overtakes as well. Plus, there's been 2 races there the last 4 years, so the sprint races would add more overtakes. I do love Red Bull Ring. It's a great track. So for Merchant though, I mean, this is now. I mean, to be fair. If he didn't want Callaway to win the championship, he would have attacked him in race 1. He would have battled with him, and he would have put the pressure on him. Yeah. He would have tried to fight him tooth and nail. Now maybe he lacked the pace to be right onto Callaway as well.
Fastest lap too. He's trying to keep away from him as Felipe goes into pit road. Going back to that real quickly as well too. So. Monza's in the last 10 years has been 290 overtakes, as a stark contrast to Monaco's 72 in the same period. Yep. I mean,
to compound that though, there's only one DRS section at Monaco, and it is in the worst spot. It's on the main straight. You can't get an overtake that at turn 1 anyway.
Yeah.
And there's 1, maybe 2 overtaking spots on the whole track, which would be coming out of the tunnel and maybe turn 1 if you can get alongside before the braking zone.
The tunnel, I mean, Mark Webber saying that a while ago. He said, in the modern Formula 1 cars, compared to when he was also racing as well, too, they're a lot wider than what they are. What they used to be back in the day. So in tracks like Monaco, where you don't have the width of the track really to go, you can't. Yeah, you just literally. He was saying, he was going, at least in Monaco, he's like back in his day, at least there's a chance for a couple of overtakes more. But now he's like, good luck trying to get anything.
So what would actually help Monaco is, and I know it's a safety issue, they don't want to do it, but I think it would also actually help Formula One as a whole. Yeah. They need to add back in refueling. Refueling would completely change the races, because it would make it a lot more strategy based. Where now they pit, they take tires, that's it. They pit, you can pit once and get home with 1 tire set. But
They want it to.
refueling, all of
Sanchez
a sudden,
comes in.
puts the strategy into it as Sanchez is in.
Yeah,
So,
they're
you know,
getting out of the
that-
fueling but because they want to conserve fuel and that sort of stuff, you know, from I know what you mean, but it would be...
You know, not just that, they want it to be safer because they're having so many fires from refueling the cars. But you look at IndyCar, how many fires have IndyCar had through refueling over the last maybe 5
That's
years?
true.
I don't
They
even
got on
know
top
that
of
many.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so look at even supercars in Australia. They haven't had a fire for years in the pit lane. I mean, it rarely happens nowadays. Now I know the exhaust is right there at the refueling point, but like, surely there is a way that they can do refueling, which would then change. Because realistically, if we're not having overtakes on track, Dean, it then needs to happen in pit lane. Through pit stops.
Oh, you
And
just got to
those
get rid of
teams-
Monaco, mate. That's it. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's not a track that you're going to get overtaken really much anyway. Looks like Callaway might be going to run here on Adam. These drivers are still yet to get down pit road. And Noddy out there, who has retired from the race, unfortunately, earlier. We didn't start this race. Just to answer your question, actually, Austria was more there at 350 to 400 overtakes with an average of 35 to 40 per race, whereas Monza was about 30 per race. And, of course, as what we're talking about, Monty Boring is 8 per race.
Monty Boring. A casino of it's like going to the casino. Dean.
I bet you
expect
go.
to
I bet
win.
you half the people are in the casino gambling during the race because they're just like, I'm not going to watch it.
probably.
Or just watch it on the screen there because until somebody goes, well, there's an overtake. What? Take your eyes off the table for 2 seconds and then go back to play.
I think Monaco would actually be better as a time trial. You just do time attack. Who can get the best lap time over the weekend?
Yeah, switch it up. Do a different format. Yeah, or even have one race where you get the rookie drivers or something like that. They might damage the cars out there too. That's the problem.
Do it as a sprint race.
Yeah,
do it as a sprint race.
Sprint race. You could do 2 sprint races instead of 1 sprint and a feature, couldn't you?
Yeah.
2 longer sprint races. It's a shorter race and a little bit more, perhaps, excitement per race. Anyway, there's all the things that they're not going to listen to from us, so it's no point. As I tell you what, Adam is really earned his paycheck for this race so far because he's having to fight off his championship leader lap by lap, and he's been responding every single time that Callaway is throwing it at him. And Merchant's like, all right, bring it on, Mr. Champ. I can read your cards, my friend. You can't bluff me.
A Callaway and Merchant battle for the lead.
Oh, that's
10 laps to go on the cross line. That is a big lunge. That is a big lunge.
I didn't think he was going to make that stop in time, did I? And he certainly didn't. But that could have certainly thrown, trying to throw something off, I guess, there on Adam, isn't it? Like, kind of going, Adam's probably looked at his mirrors going, what did you just do, my friend? There's no way you're going to get an overtake with me around there. This is also, you got Fitzy there in the background. He's down the road, 15 seconds to change, but he's setting some fastest laps. He took about a second off. Oh, there we go. Merchant goes in. So, let's see how long until our championship leader comes in. How many more laps is going to go? There's 2 more drivers. That's Fitzy as well too. That's in P3, which will be promoted up to P2. But he's still yet to take. No, in fact, he's actually coming into pit road as well. So that's it. Our championship leader is the last one to take the last pit stop. You would probably presume of the season. When's he going to take it?
Yeah, of course. Unless drivers who pitted early would somehow need fuel to get home. Callaway will be the last through pit lane. And quite apropos that the champion-elect looks to possibly take the race win here this evening as well.
Now, he's got to put some banker laps down, doesn't he? As Adam's out, and we'll see what Adam's times will be.
It's lying to me at the moment. It's claiming his pit lane travel time was 2.9 seconds, which is not the case at all for Adam Merchant.
Where are you getting your software? I'm seeing 6.8.
It's saying 6.8 pit stop time, but 2.97 pit lane travel time.
Oh, it's 32.53 for me here.
Oh, okay. Well, this is lying to me. It's like skim milk. It's water
Fake
that's lying
stats.
about being milk.
That's what you're getting at the home, my friend.
I am. I'm getting fake stats, apparently.
No, it's what it is that it's the Callaway's team down there that have hacked into it to try to give you that fake information. So
they're trying to get Adam a penalty. He's like, he spent through pit lane.
So when's he going to come in? We've seen this before. Callaway can just drive this thing essentially to the end of the race sometimes, but he does have 10 laps remaining. No indication of going in here. Climb up into turn 1, which is a short run, of course, which brings that entertainment in racing.
Wouldn't it be fantastic if we had a plug-in, Dean, just to talk about software for a second. If we can make a plug-in where if we know the refuel rate and we know the average lap burn, if we could actually determine by how fast their pit stop is, how much fuel they've added.
I could get a programmer to work that out for us. I had a guy do that for the Formula One
because
game when I used to broadcast it. He worked it all out, and I said, hey, give me a prediction and all that sort of stuff, and he would. As with the tires too, believe it or not, worked on that one. Sanchez in for the second time.
Yeah, second time. So, because I mean, it can be simple maths if you know what the lap burn is. So if you can find out just an average lap burn, and then you know that it's 2.3 liters or 2.3 liters per second, then you can figure out how much fuel they've added. Just by the software doing the maths, and then you get a graphic, obviously, that shows how much they would have put in.
Yeah,
and then you can get a prediction for how long they.
How would you know? But if they chipped out some repairs,
well, no, if they chip out repairs, it would do optionals whilst it does the fuel.
How would you know?
It's only if they sit there for
the
longer.
Optional, because you don't get that information from iRacing.
Yeah, I suppose.
I love your thoughts,
it would only be a gauge. I've been wanting to, because I'm yet to actually figure out the plug-in system myself in how I could.
Send me a DM and remind me about it, and I'll work on it. I'll try it out myself as well too, and if I can't, I'll get some help for sure. I'd like that.
I've been wanting it for, it's especially one series that I broadcast, just because we get like stint length, but we don't know how much fuel people put in without doing the math on air. Where it'd be nice where we could have a visual representation which says they've put in this much fuel. This is how far they can go. If they go any further, then they're fuel saving.
Yep. That's or close to it on the guesstimation. Callaway's responding by sitting in the fastest lap at the moment. Merchant needs to. Let's see what he done. He did a 43.91 or 43.3 for Callaway. So this will be close.
It was roughly a 20-second loss in pit lane for Merchant. So Callaway, if he can continue running these sorts of lap times and he can continue gaining, he will come out of pit lane ahead of Merchant. But he's not being held up at the moment by anyone, which is helping him, which is likely why he's kept going. Because he has no traffic to deal with. So he may go either until whatever comes first, until he's about to run out of fuel, or until he catches traffic. So if he catches traffic, he'll likely come in to not get held up by the traffic. Or if he obviously is going to run out of fuel, then he'll come in because he doesn't want to run out of fuel. So we'll see how it plays out. Though we'll keep a keen eye on it for Jaden Callaway and the rest of these battles that are happening all throughout the field as well. For the final 7 laps of this race, when Callaway crosses the line, does he come in this lap, or does he keep going?
Good question. So the man winning in his home track as well too from USA, so he's going to be loving this. It's coming in. So this is crucial now, to see whether or not he's going to. If he comes out and he's ahead, I'd say he's won the championship.
He's won the race.
I mean the race, yeah.
Yeah.
So where's Merchant?
I think he's gained enough. Merchant's just coming up towards the final few corners. But remember, it was about a 20-second loss in pit lane. So Callaway's into the box.
Still
stationary for roughly 6 seconds or so. Well, this is a long stop, 7 seconds. But he's going to come out in the lead. He's going to come out at the end of pit lane and run up towards turn 1. And it is going to be roughly 0.8
Merchant will have the speed.
Yeah, Merchant will, and he'll have the warm tyres.
He's got to apply pressure now. He has to attack now before Callaway's tyres get up to full temperature, and especially through here, where you need that temperature in your tyres through the USA version of Beckett's, Macca's, Chapel and steroids. And now Callaway's tyres are probably getting very close to being up to temperature now, so Merchant's still got to attack.
Instead of Maggots and Beckett's, do we call it like...
freedom.
Zins and autism or something. I mean...
He's going for it.
Up the inside goes Merchant, and now down the straight they go. So, but as Callaway's tyres will get back up to temp. Now, he hasn't changed tyres, so they're both on the same set that they started with. But Callaway's now back and right on him. And these were the two drivers who we thought were going to be battling for the championship all season based on round one. Of course, Merchant missed a couple of rounds and he had a couple of minor issues throughout the season as well. But full circle moment, they battle to the end of race 2 of the final round. I believe we've had 2 races per race, haven't we? It's always been sprint rounds. Oh my God!
No! That's it. Poor Merchant, there's no way you're getting out of that one, my friend. Hopefully he's okay. Callaway is damaged. He's missing a wheel.
That is... What in the...
What
in the hell happened there?
I mean, you still had 7 laps to go. He's going to bring it back to pit road, at least try his best. I mean, that's... good luck on steering that one, my friend. See if you can get around the corner here. I can't believe you can still steer like that with one wheel completely just tethered on.
So, I've just watched it. We'll obviously
yeah, we'll go back and have a look at the replay of that, but...
I'd recommend watching it back in slow motion to see the roll. So, he slid it in. We could probably... Yeah, so he slides it into the left-hander, locks up, and as he's sliding... So, yeah, there we go. Perfect. So as he's sliding to try and turn it in, it's locked up and Merchant has got no idea. And then over he goes. That is one of the wildest flips I've ever seen. Not just in an open wheeler I've ever seen on iRacing. Like that is incredible.
What's this?
Oh my God.
Oh, he's on the radio going, get me out of here, guys. I'm hanging like a cow.
Adam Merchant or Nico Hulkenberg. Who is it? But man,
look at he's trying to accelerate as well.
So, but you know now, you know what will be the most heartbreaking thing? If Sanchez had actually finished on the podium of race 1 and he had been around Callaway, he would have been in for the championship right now.
This is the slide. Bang.
Oh my God. I suppose when you got nothing to lose, you've got no worries about sending it, do you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, there's still battles brewing on this dying stage of this race, so you can say goodbye to spraying the bubbly stuff or having a shoey to celebrate your championship on the top step.
You know what? I can appreciate that he ended the championship on an even number of wins.
Yeah, true.
I like it when a driver can end on a nice even round number. Like
look what happened
wins.
Before, gentlemen. We're going to carbon copy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's all going a little bit pearl-shaped now. Drivers are just absolutely just sending it right now, dying stages of this race. There is a nice little battle brewing here between Felipe Sarkis there and Fitzy. However, that's going to pan out. Looks like Jace Meyer's going around somewhere. He's completely demolished that car. That's missing a rear wing.
It's been an expensive... You know what? I would love if we could figure out a system of how much it would cost drivers to fix their cars, and then we could do a tally at the end of the season who has spent the most money fixing their car throughout the season.
Yeah, that's true. Or if you're paying to drive each race in a season, you also have to pay fines for car damages as well too. It's a couple of dollars here and there, €1 or whatever, Yep, and is your entry fees like $10 per race, and it's like, oh well, because you completely smashed up your car in the last race, that's going to cost you $12 and $13 because each dollar represents like $100,000 or something like that.
So and DB doesn't know either. No, Sanchez can't win the championship.
No.
So he had to break it down again for you in DB. So Sanchez came into this round with a 20 points gap up to Callaway. He needed to beat Callaway by 21 points tonight. So because Callaway had pole of the sprint race, he gained 2 points. So that made the gap 22 points. And then because Callaway obviously won, but he also had the fastest lap.
Oh.
So without oh my God, it is getting messy.
Yeah.
Without the win, with the fastest lap of the race, he made the differential 23 points, which meant that Fabian actually had to win race 1 Otherwise, he was never going to have enough gap to actually beat Callaway in race 2. So he needed Callaway to finish P7 or below in one of the races and then P6 or below in the other. But because Callaway won, it meant it was out of touch at that point, especially because Fabian finished, I think, what was it, P9? So he already lost too many points at that stage to not have enough opportunity to win in race 2. Because the max he could have gotten in race 2 would have been 27 with the fastest lap and the race win. If Callaway had finished
7 for lower, right? And if
well, no, it's even more than that. So if it was 27 points, and the gap would need to be 26. So we actually forgot about the fact that Sanchez could have gotten fastest lap at the race 2. But irregardless of that, he finished too low mathematically to win it in race 1.
They did. It was also said last week, wasn't it? The fact that they said if Callaway gets away after lap 1 and goes ahead and wins the race, that's it for the championship, pretty much done and dusted at that point, and it was the case. Now
the question is, does Callaway get a penalty for his contact with Merchant? Does he get a points penalty?
That's possible. That Noddy might know that in chat as well too. But even so, it wouldn't be enough points, would it, to take away his championship?
If it's 20 points,
is a penalty so harsh?
If it was a 20-point post-race penalty, that's if I don't know. But
I don't think he would have risked the risk for the biscuit that much into that incident earlier, knowing if he got a penalty.
I don't know if he meant to flip him though, Dean. Like that's if you're meaning to flip someone, that's then more or less you have to then question the decision.
Yeah, he locked up going in. He wants to go to send it, and then he couldn't stop it in time, and then bang.
Yeah, cold
clear
well,
racing
not cold
incident.
tires, but old tires.
He was at fault, but how much of a penalty do you distribute to that?
If it was me in race control for my race series, that'd be a 20-point post-race penalty because you can't give him a drive-through because he's out of the race.
Don't mess with Hamish.
Oh no, we're harsh. We're harsh with those penalties.
And then at that point, he probably wouldn't even have gone for an overtake because he'd be like, nah. The Hamish big brother's watching me. If I make a mistake, I got 20 points down and potentially could throw a championship away. He'd be like, nah. He wouldn't even have gone for it then. I don't think of that situation. Not unless it was a clear-cut overtake. So your championship would also be denouncing drivers from taking extra risks, mate.
No, it would promote calculated risks.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's also that 20-point post-race penalty would be in the scenario of we can't give them a drive-through because they're out.
Yeah.
So, for example, Callaway's out. We can't give him a drive-through. We can't give him a rear of grid next week because there's no race. Post-race points penalty. That's all you can give. It's the only applicable penalty.
On a move. Hey, ooh, Fitzy's been he's been very, very strong around here in COTA. It's just unfortunately he's down one place from where he started, but he did take that later pit stop there as well too. Stretched it for quite a bit. He has got the fastest lap, so it's a 43. Nothing that Callaway can do right now to defend against that. But there is Sanchez that could still potentially steal that fast lap away. Not that's going to help him win the championship, but could take a little extra pride, a little bit extra pride to finish up the season. He's behind Fitzy at the moment. How about Blanchy, buddy? He's just been in there. He still was in there in the reverse grid. He started in that P2 position, and he's got essentially handed that race win with the two coming together. A little unfortunate, you'd have to say too, wouldn't you, from Adam? Because Adam was looking strong. I would have loved to see that battle go all the way down to the wire. But once again, it's just a situation of what is. We're still seeing a battle actually with Nick Peterson and Fitzy. Fitzy's making his way up currently at the moment, mate, on the podium.
So to just quickly, I'll just look through the rule book to look at, because that would be determined probably as a major penalty because he's rolled him. At least in my eyes, I'm not gonna speak for the league itself, but in my eyes, that was a major.
Noddy's got some information out there. Sorry to cut you off. I think he already got a 10-point deduction previously for a serious accident. Not sure if the points go if the points go up. I mean, I took the points from the website, which is from Sim Racing Hub. Sure,
he has
that's
no
updated.
penalty. He has no penalty points at the moment. So that would be determined as a major penalty. Obviously, he rolled him. So because we have no more races to go this season, I don't think they're not gonna terminate him from the league. Obviously, because that's not deliberate. The major points penalty he could get is a 10-point deduction.
Yeah, still wouldn't be enough to lose the championship.
It would be.
Really?
Well,
that's
Sanchez
for Sanchez is P5.
Sanchez would have to win.
Yeah, that's not going to happen on the last lap right now.
So,
yeah.
But for Bianchi, this has been a great race thus far for him. So if we look at this, so Sanchez is P9 last race, and so Callaway got 15 because he got the pole and he got the fast lap and he got the win. So he won by 9 points. So he has a 29-point lead in this race. Sanchez would need to win at 25. He would need to get 19 points in this race. If there was a points deduction, he needs P2. Sanchez needs P2, so he can't. It's out of touch. Unless they haven't applied penalty points yet, which
P5 isn't too bad considering he's up 4 or 5 places. But here it is the Italian winning in Ferrari-esque livery here in the Americas. And Bianchi gets the job done.
Yep. The series admin. When you know who won the pony, Antonio Bianchi wins the race. Sarkis P2, Finley Fitzsimmons comes across the line P3. 3 different nationalities all on the podium with Nick Pedersen, Fabian Sanchez for your top 5, Leo Del Mar. If only he got the top 5, we would have had 5 different nationalities in the top 5 in this race. But Pedersen and Sanchez decided to bring some freedom to the Circuit of the Americas. James Turnbull, Jared Ziegler, Julian Midori, Arturo Mayoga will look to make up the top 10. And only 10 finishes at the final race of the season. But although we said it is provisional, but maths, quick maths adding up, it still looks like that Jaden Callaway would be the champion. Unless maybe they take liberties and they say, look, it's a major incident, but you've rolled him. Let's double that points deduction and make it 20 points.
Let's go one more showdown race. Let's add another race to the calendar and say, all right, now it's on. You're even Stevens. Whoever beats the other driver wins the championship if you would go that situation. Doesn't matter what position you finish. As long, just those two.
10 lap race, Callaway finishes 30 seconds behind Sanchez, and we'll see who wins.
There you go.
Offset rules.
Well, that'll be absolutely it for the last race of the season, mate.
10 weeks, how quickly it flies by. From us complaining about iRacing lighting to the nuclear destruction that was Long Beach, and then the chaos at the end of this one with our champion rolling his teammate over in the dying embers of this race. These are our provisional race results. So for race 2, Bianchi takes the win ahead of Sarkis, Fitzsimmons on the podium. Pedersen, Sanchez top 5, Del Mar, Turnbull, Ziegler, Midori, Mayoga the top 10, Zerha, Orti, Callaway, Fairchild, Meyer, Williams, Merchant, Cernar, and then Amel never got started in race number 2 for the 19 cars. And for the final time this season, it has been one hell of a journey for season 14 of the League Zero Formula Series. Jaden Callaway is the series champion, and League Zero Formula Series will be returning next season to JP Broadcasting for season 15. So we look forward to seeing how that all pans out and if Callaway can go back to back. Of course, this season was presented by Inca Salsa for the League Zero. Of course, they still have another league running on JP Broadcasting as well, I believe, with the GT cars, if I'm not mistaken, Dean, but Super Formulas proved to be chaos once again. I want to give thank you, though, to everyone who watched along with us this season and this evening as well here on JP Broadcasting. We hope if you can, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon as well. If you want to stick around with us, because we've got so much more action to come for sim racing around the world, with a world tour of series on offer through a multitude of different sims. We'll have something for everyone here on the channel, and hey, you might find something new that you never even thought of. You might enjoy it yourself as well. Big thank you to all the series sponsors, including their title sponsors, Inca Salsa, as well. For myself, Hamish, Munro, and Team Biggles, for the final time this season, we appreciate your time, appreciate you being here with us. Jaden Callaway is the series champion. Who's going to win it next season, we'll have to wait and see. But until next time, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.